Good evening. It's 7 o'clock, and I'd like to call the Cunningham Town Board meeting to order. That will be followed by a regular meeting of the Urbana City Council. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bowersox? Here. Mr. Jacobson?
Also here.
Mr. Lewis?
Present.
Ms. Marlin?
Here.
Mr. Roberts?
Here.
Mr. Smythe? Ms. Stevenson? Mayor Pressing?
Here. First item is the minutes of the previous meeting, November 7th. Is there any
I'll move approval.
motion by Dennis Roberts, seconded by Diane Marlin? Any additions or corrections to the minutes? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next, the committee to verify bills. Township Supervisor Carol Elliott.
For the month of December, we have total town fund $27,137.34. Total general assistance fund is $64,462.90. In addition to, of course, the personal allowances, we have paid quite a few medical bills as well, and that's why that seems a little higher.
I guess I'll make a motion that we approve the town fund and the general assistance fund as presented.
Second.
Motion by Dennis Roberts, seconded by Robert Lewis. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Reports of officers. Carol?
I have a new budget report that I also sent electronically to everyone, and provided a new caseload graph, which shows we are actually down in the month of November. However, I expect December to go back up. Last month, I was asked to put together something like a worst-case scenario for our expenses if the caseload should continue to rise. So that's what I sent to you, and this is probably not real scientific, but I was just looking at what our current revenues are and assumed that we might not increase those revenues much, while increasing the general assistance expenditures and also taking out the Carl money, just to get a more realistic view of what we're looking at. And with that in mind, it looks like in the year, I think it's fiscal 2016, that we would have a negative balance in general assistance, and assuming that things keep going up like they have been, and I don't know that that will actually happen. And revenues will increase somewhat, but again, I didn't increase them in this, just to look at the worst case scenario. So I think, well, between now and fiscal 2016, we just really need to monitor every month and make adjustments as we can. Okay. Charlie.
Yeah, Carol.
Charlie?
Yeah,
Yep.
thank you very much for doing this.
Mhm.
I think that now that you've got this put together, it would be sort of easy, maybe every 6 months,
Yes.
update it, and if there's significant changes, I
Mhm.
appreciate if you brought it to us.
Yeah.
What I was going to comment on was that I think what we have to really look at is in the fiscal year 2013-14, we hit $1 million there in reserves. For some reason, I think that's sort of like the minimum balance we want to have there. I think we don't want to drop below $1 million in reserves. I forget where that rule of thumb came from, but it's one we've operated on for some time. And I remember it from the early '90s having that. So I don't know if you could refresh our memories on why we have that, but
Sure. Well, his name was Rich Bird at the Department of Commerce and Community Affairs, who's a wonderful contact, and his advice was that you don't want to have a surplus that's 2.5 to 3 times an average year's expenditures. And he once sent me something out of a book that was in, which I have in my office somewhere, but that's where that came from. And of course, that's why you have to take out the Carl money too, because that just really throws everything out of whack. But that's where that comes from.
Okay, any other questions for Carol? Thank you. Any other reports of officers? All right, we'll move on. Petitions and communications. Is there anyone who would like to address the Cunningham Town Board?
Mayor,
Yes.
if there's anyone who drives a Toyota Camry license plate 8859103, your interior lights are on.
Okay, I guess no one wants to address the town board. Okay, thank you. Old business, I don't believe we have any. New business, ordinance number T 2011-12-004, the annual tax levy ordinance of the town of Cunningham. This is for taxes collectible in 2012. Carol?
Correct. Yes. The numbers that are in this ordinance are the same numbers that I presented in the Truth in Taxation resolution last month. And the total is $1,235,503 to be levied. And out of that, the general town fund, $626,225. General assistance fund, $609,278. And you might wonder why I don't levy more in the GA fund, but that would be the rate limit for GA. You can't exceed 10%. So if, in fact, this is the amount that was levied, it can't be any higher than that due to rate limits. And the ordinance itself supplies details, and nothing's been changed since last month. We would need a roll call vote except for the mayor.
There's a typo on
Oh.
Eric Jacobson's name. Might
Where?
want it-
Again?
On his name on the last page, page 3. So that needs to be fixed, but that's
Oh,
a
okay.
minor detail.
Okay.
Any questions
Oh, yeah.
on the tax levy ordinance?
Okay.
Would the clerk please, we need a motion, don't we, before the clerk calls the roll?
Second.
Motion by Smythe, seconded by Lewis. Any discussion? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Bowersox?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Ms. Marlin?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Smythe?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
No.
Okay, that motion carries. I believe there's no further business, so let's adjourn this meeting. Thank you. Thank you.